Morning, comrades.
Morning, Koliswa and members.
Morning.
Good morning. Koliswa.
Morning, Chairperson.
I'm audible. Thank you very much. Honorable members, we have convened this meeting to consider the report of the oversight of the Lesotho. Before we can do that, I'm going to check with members because we had members who didn't went to Lesotho and we have the video. I'm going to propose that if Tumani can play that video for, is it 7 minutes or 10 minutes, Tumani? So that members can see what we have saw in Lesotho, and then we go into the report. As part of the agenda, it's not there on the agenda, but I just thought it will be helpful for those that have not been in Lesotho. Tumani.
Chairperson, before we play the video, can't we agree on the agenda? Can't we agree on the agenda first, Chair?
Okay, all right, okay.
I propose we move the agenda as it is. We move with the agenda as it is.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair.
Okay, can I? No, I'm proposing that we add that before we agree the agenda on the screen. It doesn't have the video. I'm saying I propose that can't we put that video on the agenda so that members can see it before we go into the report, meaning before so you wanted us to open the meeting and officially, okay. Let's do that.
In your open remark, you can request us to do any other thing that is
okay.
Relevant to the meeting.
No, thank you very much, honorable members. You are welcome to the meeting. As I've indicated, this meeting we are considering the report of the oversight of the Lesotho. I want to take this opportunity again to welcome you in your meeting, acknowledging that you are taking your days that you're supposed to be doing constituency office, but availing yourself to this meeting, and thank you very much. As we before we go into adoption of the agenda, I'm going to ask us to observe a moment of silence for meditation and our prayer as we put our country through the challenges that we are facing, and ask for intervention from the above, for those that believe that there is an above, and pass our condolences to the colleagues, family members, those that have passed on through this pandemic that is ravaging our country, and put our country, that we even pray for the peace and stability in our country. Thank you very much. Can we observe a moment of silence? Thank you very much and amen. Can we then go into noting the apologies? Koliswa?
Good morning, Chairperson and members. I have two apologies. One from member Buthelezi, and the second one is from member August. They are unable to join this meeting today. Member Buthelezi is with Cocta, and Mr. August is due to for unforeseen.
We're losing you, Koliswa. I have lost Koliswa. I'm not sure whether it's me or members. Can you hear Koliswa?
No, we don't.
And I believe
But what
that
I heard is that what I heard was
we
that
still have
there is
the-
apology from
thank you,
August,
Chairperson.
Honorable August and
Hello,
Honorable
Chairperson.
Buthelezi. Koliswa?
Recording stopped.
The agenda has disappeared on my screen, but it's the consideration of the adoption of the agenda. As I've indicated, I'm proposing that we put that 15, is it 7 minutes so video
Recording in progress.
so that those members who were not in Lesotho can see what we have seen in Lesotho. I don't see any hand. Honorable Tseke.
Thanks, Chair, and good morning, members and of support staff. I move that we accept the agenda, Chair, with that addition of the video, of seeing the video as members. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Tseke. Can I get seconder?
I do.
Thank you, Ntate Mashego. Tumani, can we play the video?
Okay, good morning, Chairperson and honorable members. The videos that we are about to play, it's the first one, it's 6 minutes long. It summarizes the phase 1 of Lesotho Islands Water Project. And the second one is just 3 minutes, which summarizes the progress insofar as the Lesotho Islands phase 2 is concerned. I will just switch off my video and then upload the videos.
Recording stopped.
The Lesotho Islands Water Project is a binational project between the Kingdom of Lesotho and the Republic of South Africa. This project harnesses the same river, which is also known as the Orange River. The water is then transferred to South Africa. The water delivery system used for this purpose also generates
There is no video, Tomani.
Are you seeing the video?
No, there's no video. We can hear the voice. but nothing.
It's just
Is
a
it
voice
playing now?
to money.
Okay, let's see.
Contingency.
This project harnesses the same river, which is also known as the Orange River. The water is then transferred to South Africa. The water delivery system used for this purpose also generates hydroelectric power in the Kingdom of Lesotho. The project is based
Are you seeing the video now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
The Lesotho Highlands Water Project is a binational project between the Kingdom of Lesotho and the Republic of South Africa. This project harnesses the Senqu River, which is also known as the Orange River. The water is then transferred to South Africa. The water delivery system used for this purpose also generates hydroelectric power in the Kingdom of Lesotho. The project is based on the double coincidence of needs. While South Africa needed more water to meet its projected demand for industrial and domestic purposes, the government of Lesotho had for some years also been seeking ways of earning external revenue. Harnessing and exporting its abundant water resources and developing hydropower locally to reduce Lesotho's dependence on imported energy answered these needs. Following extensive studies of alternative transfer schemes, the options were eventually narrowed down to two hypothetical schemes, namely the Lesotho Highlands Water Project and the Orange Vaal Transfer Scheme. Based on the computation of the operating costs of each scheme, the conclusion was that the Orange Vaal Transfer Scheme would be twice as expensive as the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. The Lesotho and South African governments signed a water treaty in 1986 to implement the project over a 30-year period. The project was designed to, on completion of all four phases, transfer water to South Africa at a rate of 70 cubic meters per second. According to the World Bank, the project was the largest public sector undertaking in Africa at the time of its inception, involving the construction of the highest dam on the continent and between the two countries. The first phase comprised the construction of the Katse Dam, the Mohale Dam, Mitigation, hydroelectric, such as access roads, bridges, power lines, sea level is the main intersection for the entire project. The dam wall is a staggering 185 meters high. Water from other dams and subsequent phases collects at this dam. Water is transferred from the Katse Dam through the Katse intake tower to generate 72 megawatts of electricity for domestic purposes. The inauguration of the water transfer component of the project took place on the 22nd of January 1998, followed by the launch of the Mohale hydropower plant on the 22nd of January 1999. The inauguration of the entire first phase was on the 16th of March 2004. Several ongoing social and environmental programs ensue from the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. The Katse Botanical Garden covers 17 hectares and contains a mixed diversity of birds, medicinal, ornamental, as well as utility plants. The garden was initially used to house plants that were rescued from the Katse and Mohale Dam basins. Other plants collected from various areas in Lesotho have also been replanted in the garden for conservation purposes. Two aquaculture projects are also being implemented, namely Katse fish farms and Highlands trout. Some of the benefits derived from these projects include employment opportunities for Lesotho, an increase in tourism, and the acquisition of new skills and technology by local communities. The signing of the agreement to implement phase 2 of the project took place in Maseru on the 11th of August 2011, followed by the launch of this phase on the 27th of March 2014. Phase 2 comprises of the construction of the Periadi Dam and a 38-kilometer transfer tunnel linking this dam with the Katse Reservoir. The feasibility study for the hydropower component of phase 2 is currently underway. A storage scheme was also identified as an option subject to the outcome of the feasibility study. Throughout the years, the Lesotho Islands Water Project has won no less than 9 prestigious awards from leading associations in the areas of project management, engineering, hydropower generation and management, construction, as well as environmental planning and management. This year, the Lesotho Islands Development Authority commemorates the 30th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty on the Lesotho Islands Water Project and the origin of a successful bilateral cooperation and partnership agreement between the two countries involved. Significant achievements in phase 1 of the project are likewise celebrated. As the development surges forward, the Lesotho Islands Development Authority remains cognizant of the emerging requirements from the riparian states in the river basin under the auspices of the Orange Senku River Commission, the institution responsible for managing the transboundary resources of the Orange Senku River shared by Lesotho, Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa. The implementation of the second phase of the project will commence as a new chapter in the success story of this striking example of modern and innovative transboundary water resources management in Africa. But even more important, there is no doubt that the new phase will allow the Lesotho Islands Water Project to continue promoting sustainable economic growth, reducing poverty, and improving the livelihoods of the people of both Lesotho and South Africa.
Thank you, Chairperson. That is the first video which deals with the first phase of Lesotho Islands Water Project. I will now upload the second one, which is just 3 minutes, and it summarizes the second phase of the project. Are you seeing the videos, Chairperson?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tomani.
Thank you, Chairperson. That is the second video. So I can hand over to you, Chairperson, if you would like perhaps to talk to the videos, or you would like me to proceed with the report.
Let's proceed with the report.
Yeah, but the videos are a little bit weak. Work on them, Tomani. People could not hear. I was struggling to hear even myself. But let's continue.
Thank you, Honorable Mashego.
Yes, Honorable Mashiko is I think maybe the network, but depending on your reception, sometimes you can hear it better. But anyway, the videos are in the packages that we received from Lesotho Islands Development Authority. Okay, let's see, where's the report? Okay. Is there a report visible, Chairperson?
Yes, it is. It is. Continue.
Yes, it is, Tomani. We can increase the font a little.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it fine now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm just going to read through the report. It is 15 pages long. I hope I will do justice to it, but I think the gist of the matter is provided by those videos. So here we're just capturing what transpired during the oversight visit. This is a draft report of the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation on oversight visit to the Kingdom of Lesotho, dated 31 May 2021. The Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation conducted an oversight visit in Lesotho from 4 to 8 May 2021. The committee first reports as follows. The South African Constitution of 1996 and relevant parliamentary rules empowers the Portfolio Committee to conduct oversight over any work of an executive organ of state that falls within its portfolio. The oversight is mainly through briefings by the organs of state, such as the departments and their entities, and visits to projects. This includes fiscal inspection of projects. It is within this background that the committee embarked on an oversight visit to Lesotho Islands Water Project in Lesotho. The oversight trip was preceded by considering the legacy report of the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation 2014 to 2019. This report identified the Lesotho Islands Water Project as a priority project that the 6th Parliament assesses, as no oversight visit was carried out at this project during the 5th parliamentary term. The briefings by the Department for Water and Sanitation, Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority, and the Lesotho Islands Water Commission on Lesotho Islands Water Project also necessitated the oversight visit. The Lesotho Islands Water Project is a binational water transfer and hydroelectricity generation project between the Kingdom of Lesotho and the Republic of South Africa. It is a product of a treaty between these two countries, signed in 1986. In brief, the treaty catered for project design, construction, operation, maintenance, and water transfer for phase 1. The treaty was amended in 2011 to cater for the Lesotho Islands Water Project phase 2. The Lesotho Islands Water Project is an African success story based on peaceful cooperation and mutual beneficial socio-economic development. The project provides hydroelectricity and water to the Kingdom of Lesotho and South Africa, respectively. The Lesotho Islands Development Authority, Lesotho Islands Water Commission, the TCTA are charged with implementing the Lesotho Islands Water Project by the treaty. The Lesotho Islands Water Commission acts on behalf of and advises both governments. It is also the channel for inputs from the two countries about the project. It is worth noting that the committee met the Lesotho Islands Water Commission Secretariat, Mr. Ilembu Mukawalumbia, Secretary from Tanzania, and Ms. Joy Norman, Deputy Secretary, she's from Botswana. That, according to the treaty, should be from an independent state. The LHDA is responsible for implementing the project in Lesotho, while the TCTA implements the project in South Africa. The Board of Directors of Lesotho Islands Water Development Authority reports to and is accountable to the Lesotho Islands Water Commission. The Lesotho Islands Water project comprises Phase 1A and B and Phase 2. Phase 1A includes 185-meter high double curvature concrete arc Katse Dam in the central Maluti Mountains and the Mwela hydropower station. It is worth noting that the former President Nelson Mandela and His Majesty King Letsie III inaugurated Phase 1A on 22nd January 1998. Phase 1B consists of the 145-meter concrete phased rockfill Moale Dam on the Sekinyane River, not part of the site visit. The dam has a storage capacity of 958 million cubic meters and a spillway discharge of 2,600 cubic meters per second. It also includes a 31-kilometer interconnecting transfer tunnel between the Katse and Moale reservoirs, a 19-meter high Matsukuwe and a 6.4-kilometer transfer tunnel. Phase 1A and B was completed in 2004. Former President Thabo Mbeki, together with His Majesty King Letsie III, attended the official celebration of the completion of Phase 1 in Lesotho. Lesotho Islands Water Project Phase 2 features water delivery system to augment Phase 1 transfer of water to South Africa and the hydropower generation system. His Majesty Letsie III and former President Jacob Zuma officially launched this phase on 27 March 2014. In the end, Lesotho Islands Water Project will have 5 dams and about 200 kilometers of tunnels and water transfer works constructed between the two countries. The project will transfer about 2,000 million cubic meters of water from Lesotho to South Africa every year. Objectives of the site visit. The purpose of the oversight visit was to evaluate the Lesotho Islands Water Project through fiscal assessment of Katse Dam, Mwela hydropower plant, Periadi Dam under construction, and the associated advanced infrastructure, for an example, housing, proposed village, power supply systems, telecommunication systems, roads, bridges, wastewater, and water treatment plants. The oversight visit also involved establishing a formal relationship with the Lesotho Parliamentary Committee that deals with water and sanitation to ensure joint oversight on Lesotho Islands Water Project. Briefings and site visits. The committee received the briefings from the South African High Commission, Lesotho Islands Water Commission, the Lesotho Islands Development Authority on various aspects of the Lesotho Islands Water Project. The committee also held a meeting with the Lesotho Parliamentary Cluster Committee on Natural Resource, Tourism and Land, preceded a bilateral meeting between the chairpersons. The committee visited the following projects: Katse Dam, Periadi Dam and associated advanced infrastructure, which is still under construction, and the Mwela hydropower station. The subsequent sections provide a synthesis of the briefings and oversight visit engagements. This section provides the multi-party delegation, the portfolio committee on human settlements, water and sanitation. Those are the members that were in that attended the oversight visit. And then from the Lesotho parliamentary delegation, that is the list there. And then South African High Commission, it was represented by the Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. Reinhardt. Lesotho Islands Water Commission, and then Lesotho Islands Development Authority, Department of Water, was represented by Mr. Sitole, who is a director for Africa Bilateral Relations, and Trans-Caledon Authority, represented by a board member, Mr. Baloy. Section 4, overview of the briefings and site visits. The committee received 3 high-level briefings from South African High Commission, Lesotho Islands Water Commission, the Lesotho Islands Water Development Authority before embarking on site visits. Briefing by the South African High Commission. The purpose of the brief was to welcome the committee in Lesotho and to orientate them on the South African mission in Lesotho. The briefing provided an overview of the Lesotho socio-economic and political environment with specific reference to political reforms, macroeconomic performance and outlook, investments, and the economic relations between South Africa and Lesotho. And lastly, provided statistics on trade, tourism between these two nations. The committee appreciated the fact that the relationship between these two countries is based on peaceful cooperation and mutual beneficial socio-economic development. 4.2, briefing by the Lesotho Islands Water Commission. Legislative framework for the Lesotho Islands Water Project. The Lesotho Islands Water Project is product of a treaty between the Republic of South Africa and the Kingdom of Lesotho, signed in 1986 and revised in 2011. The presentation expressly referred to Article 6, General Duties regarding the project. This article in summary stipulates that South Africa is responsible for the parts of the project located in South Africa and its security, and Lesotho shall do the same. In this regard, South Africa shall establish TCTA while Lesotho shall establish LHDA to carry out these responsibilities. The presentation further draws the committee's attention to the amended Treaty 2011, popularly known as Phase 2 Agreement, Articles 10 and 11, which deals with procurement of goods and services and recruitment of personnel, respectively, by the LHDA. In summary, Article 10 stipulates that all procurement processes shall foster competitiveness, transparency, cost effectiveness, and quality. Preference shall be given to suppliers of goods and services, including consultants and contractors in Lesotho, South Africa, South African Development Community, member states, and then internationally in that order. In addition, consultants and contractors registered in Lesotho and South Africa shall share the value of all infrastructure works on an equally monetary basis, taking into account their shareholding and operational experience, amongst other things. Regarding recruitment of personnel, preference shall be given to nationals of Lesotho, South Africa, and SADC member states in that order, provided that the required skills and experience levels are met. Overall, the Lesotho Islands Water Project complies with the applicable laws of Lesotho, such as the Land Act of 2010 and the South African laws such as the BBBEE regulations. The Lesotho Islands Water Commission provide a platform for decision-making by Lesotho and South Africa on all aspects of the project. Cost of water transfer features. The South African government pays for the water to government of Lesotho through TCTA. The TCTA collects the tariff from the Department of Water and Sanitation, which it collects through the normal water pricing strategy in South Africa. In summary, the DWS charges raw water tariffs to large raw water consumers, such as water boards, Eskom, and CESO, amongst others, which it pays over to TCTA to finance the Lesotho Islands Water transfer features. Project governance model of the Lesotho Islands Project Phase 2. Lesotho and South Africa governments have designated the Lesotho Islands Water Commission to oversee the implementation of Lesotho Islands Water Project by the TCTA and LHDA through, among others, approvals of operations and expenditures, monitoring project performance and risks, reporting on project activities, targets, and impacts. In this regard, the TCTA is responsible for general project finance mobilization, developing a project funding strategy and subsequent approval by Lesotho Islands Water Commission, and providing operational support to South African delegation in the Lesotho Islands Water Project. The LHDA is responsible for the construction of Periadi Dam, which is 2.2 billion cubic meters in capacity. 38-kilometer tunnel from Periadi to Kate Dam, advanced infrastructure, which includes access and feeder roads, bridges, power and communication lines, implementation of environmental mitigation and socio-economic measures, such as the compensation and relocation of communities. Accountability framework, the chief executive officers of both TCTA and LHDA account to their respective boards, that is the TCTA and LHDA. These boards account to the Lesotho Islands Water Commission. The Lesotho Islands Water Commission accounts to both the Department of Water and Sanitation and the Lesotho Ministry of Water. These two departments account to their respective parliaments concerning Lesotho Islands Water Project. Features of the Lesotho Islands Water Project Phase 2. Phase 2 will include the construction of Periadi Dam with concrete phased rock fill embankment dam wall that is 163.5 meters in height with a total supply of 275 meters above sea level. It is estimated that the construction will take 56 months, approximately 5 years, and filling of the dam will take 700 days, approximately 2 years. In addition, a Periadi channel with 18.8 cubic meters per second capacity will be built, and it will increase Moela Dam's full capacity level by 2.5 meters. It will also include the construction of hydropower plant with a 300 megawatt pump storage scheme. It is worth noting that this component is currently under investigation. If deemed feasible, after investigations, the station will be built at Bokong or Kopong Valley and Katse Dam. As part of Phase 2, a 50-kilometer power line from Matsuku to Periadi will be installed. It will also carry a new fiber optic line to ensure faster telecommunications. New roads and bridges will also be constructed between Matsuku and Periadi to access villages around the dams. Phase 2 will also include residential areas with all amenities such as hospitals and schools. A lodge, contractor quarters, a school and a hospital will be built at Mporosane and Periadi commercial areas. Environmental mitigation measures. As far as environmental management is concerned, the project rehabilitates all the degraded areas, implements an erosion prevention program, rescues indigenous fauna and flora to maintain the aquatic ecosystem integrity. The project also maintains in-stream flow requirements by maintaining downstream water flow release. Displacement, resettlement, and compensation. The Periadi Dam currently affects 17 villages, 534 households, which translates into 2,547 people. These villages will have to be resettled. Approximately 1,125 hectares worth of crop fields and grazing land will be lost. This loss will affect 72 villages, 3,312 villages, 16,550 people. These people will be compensated accordingly. Compensation is per individual or communal, depending on the ownership of assets. It is paid in a form of lump sum or annual payments over 50 years. Funding, budget, allocations, and taxes. The Phase 2 long-term committed budget for up to 2026-27 financial year is 32.5 billion, with 3.4 billion spent as of February 2021. The funding requirement for 2021-22 financial year is 4.18 billion from South Africa and 200 million from government of Lesotho. However, the government of Lesotho has only committed a total budget of 40 million, which amounts to less by 160 million. The government of Lesotho representative at the Lesotho Islands Water Commission indicated that negotiations with the ministries of water and finance are underway to secure the remaining 160 million from the government of Lesotho. Article 14 of Phase 2 agreement provides for Lesotho Islands Water project taxes. There is currently a disagreement on the interpretation of this article. The status of this issue is that the government of Lesotho is studying the record of negotiations that resulted in this Article 14 while waiting for further records from the Lesotho Islands Water Commission Secretariat. It is worth noting that any deviation from the provisions of this article will increase costs to the South African government. In as far as funding for 2021-2022 financial year is concerned, the Minister of Finance, Tito Mboweni, has approved the required guarantees for the African Development Bank, the new Development Bank. The TCTA is negotiating loans with various commercial banks in South Africa to ensure additional funding for the main contracts on phase 2. The Namibian government has not issued the no objection letter that is required in the funding application with many development banks. Nevertheless, this issue is being handled at the highest level by the South African and Namibian governments. All funding for phase 2 must be in place by December 2021 to ensure compliance with implementation schedule. Overall challenges and risks. The general public and communities' expectations remain a big challenge for the project, as communities expect instant improvement to their living conditions, while the political principals expect the project to meet all the needs of communities. Compensation remains one of the key challenges, as communities feel the compensation model is unfair, while others expect compensation when they have lost nothing to the project. Delays in issuing work permits by government of Lesotho to South Africa skilled workers are affecting project progress. Alluvial diamond mining new and old licenses interfere with the project, as some of these activities are within the project areas. As far as the risks are concerned, the Lesotho taxes on South Africa expatriates are not in line with the South African Labour Relations Act. This has the potential of increasing the cost of project implementation. This is currently ranked as high in terms of probability. The granting of work permits to South Africans is also posing a high risk to the project, as it may affect the fair sharing of work and may delay construction that could lead to legal action by service providers. Unforeseen geotechnical conditions also pose a high risk to the project, as it can delay construction, such as tunnel excavations. No objection letter from Namibia is a medium to high risk, as funding will not be granted until this letter is provided. The government of Lesotho initial refusal to grant quarry and blasting permits to phase 2 contractors and COVID-19 present a high risk to the project. Construction may be delayed, which would inevitably increase project costs. COVID-19 can slow down the progress and increase costs due to border restrictions, limited work hours, reduced staff, shortage of material and fuel, and provision of additional accommodation and personal protective clothing. Section 4.3, briefing by the Lesotho Islands Water Development Authority, Chief Executive Mr. Tente. The Lesotho Islands Water Project was one of the largest engineering projects at its inception in 1986. This project won the South African Institution of Civil Engineering Award on the Most Outstanding Engineering Achievement of the Century in 2006. It is a binational interbasin water transfer and hydropower generation project. It follows a phased approach of implementation that will last for 30 years. This project was conceptualized as far back as the 1930s to earn revenue and reduce energy imports of the Kingdom of Lesotho and meet the South African industrial and households water needs. In summary, the benefits to Lesotho from this project are royalty revenue, high quality infrastructure, tourism opportunities associated with nature reserves and fisheries, job opportunities, skills transfer to Lesotho, both blue and white collar jobs, and work for local contractors and consultants. South Africa benefit from high quality water, improved security of water supply for Gauteng, significantly reduced water treatment costs, secure water supply for households, industries, agriculture, and mining, while local contractors and consultants benefit from professional planning and actual construction works. Description of phase 2, Lesotho Islands Water Commission briefing has already addressed this. Nevertheless, in brief, Phase 2 will include construction of Periadi Village, Periadi Lodge, upgrade of Katsa Lodge, Periadi Operations Center, and ancillary public facilities such as schools, prison, and a hospital. The other aspect worth mentioning is the Senku Bridge, which will be 875 meters long on a 1.6 kilometer road. Phase 2 progress. The progress regarding contracts awarded for consultancy services and construction works for the water transfer. The hydropower stood at 52 contracts with 35 contracts awarded for consultancy service concerning engineering, 14 environmental, social, and health and safety, 15 project management and professional support, 7 for water transfer, while 13 were awarded for geotechnical drilling, access road construction and rehabilitation, diversion tunnel, transmission power lines, temporary campsite, and village services. The construction of diversion tunnels and civil works stood at 80%, while civil works at Periadi Permanent Village stood at 90%, and roads were at 40%. The main work is estimated to start in January 2022. Advanced infrastructure monetary share unaudited, 1.76 billion was expended as of 31 March, March 2021, and 44% of this amount went to Lesotho, while 56% earned by South African companies. Main works monetary share unaudited, a total of 945 million was expended as March of 2021, and 37% of this amount went to Lesotho, and while 63% earned by South African companies. Phase 2 master program, the project's water transfer and hydropower components are scheduled for commissioning by 2027, a year later than the initial plan. The South African funding, South Africa has met its funding obligation. The agreement has been finalized with lenders, particularly diplomatic immunities for new development ban, and comments on the tender documents. It is also worth mentioning that the funding strategy is in place. General challenges, some already addressed by the Lesotho Highlands Water Commission. The degraded wetlands affect the water quality and quantity, which negatively affects and sustainability of the project. This is also affecting the river flows, which are critical to the viability of Lesotho Highlands Water Project. Climate change is compounding the effect of degraded wetlands as rainfall has become highly variable. Observations, discussion, resolutions. The members raised issues following the briefing by the LHDA, namely the Lesotho work permit conditions, stakeholder consultations, survivors of the Lesotho Highlands dams. This is the NGO in the area. Maintenance and operation of dams, royalties, public access to dams, advertisement of tenders, impacts of climate change, successful bidders, and compensation of displaced communities. The work permit in Lesotho is given on the condition that the skill that is being sought is not available in Lesotho. The LHDA consults stakeholders extensively during all stages of the project, including survivors of Lesotho dams. However, this NGO sometimes complains that their issues are not sufficiently addressed. Nevertheless, the Lesotho Highlands Development Authority continues to engage with these communities and the NGO. As far as compensation is concerned, demographic analysis is done to understand the best possible form of compensation for the beneficiaries. Beneficiaries are compensated in several ways. Some get houses and a lump sum that is paid annually over a period of 50 years. The payment of compensation takes into cognizance the future livelihoods of the beneficiaries. Although the agreement stipulates that beneficiaries should be paid upfront, this is not always possible due to lack of funds. In this case, the LHDA negotiates with the landowners to allow the project to proceed and make payments when funds become available. Apart from deferred payment, sometimes payment of compensation is delayed due to family disputes or the death of the landowner. In this situation, the LHDA withholds the payment until the family selects the rightful beneficiary. The LHDA's legal obligation to the people and communities affected by the project work are based on the Lesotho Constitution, the 1986 Lesotho Islands Water Project Treaty, the LHDA Order of 1986, and the Lesotho Islands Water Project Compensation Regulations of 1990, the legal notice number 50 of 1990. The royalties are paid directly to the government of Lesotho, which then decides on the use of royalties. The payment of royalties will run up to 2044, and thereafter the payment will be on the annual actual volume of water consumed. For example, 1.1 billion was paid in 2020-21 financial year. The land zoning system of Lesotho provides for public access to all landmarks or places of interest, including dams. That's a dam attracts several domestic and international tourists per year. To this end, there have not been complaints about access to dams for tourism purposes. Climate change is affecting the rainfall patterns and it is reducing the amount of water in the rivers. Katse Dam used to overflow every year, but it has not overflowed for years now. Operation and maintenance are provided for in the plan, but the lack of funds is delaying maintenance and operation at Moela Dam, which has a sanitation problem. Tenders are advertised on all leading print and digital platforms such as Sunday Times, Sowetan, City Press, Mail and Garden, amongst others. Awareness raising events are held across major cities, Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban, before the advertisement of tenders. The Lesotho Islands Water Project Phase 2 tenders for the current work has been awarded to 2 joint ventures, namely the SCLC Periadi Diversion Tunnel Joint Venture, which combines international, South African, and Lesotho expertise. This joint venture is made up of Saline Impreligio SPA, South African branch, the Cooperativa Muratori Cementestry CMC, the Ravenna South African branch, LSP Construction from Lesotho, and CMI Infrastructure from South Africa, Vinetsi Asenku Kubedu Consultants Joint Venture, which also includes several South African and Lesotho-based firms. The MSKC joint venture is comprised of Sutra, formerly known as Orecon, from South Africa, Might Peace Road from South Africa, H. Goa, South Africa, and SMAC from South Africa, and FM Associates from Lesotho. The MSKC joint venture has designed the diversion tunnels and will also supervise the construction work. The tender evaluation considers the youth, women representation in the leadership of a company, enterprise development, ownership of the company, skills development, and procurement of goods and services. The committee resolved that the department and TCTA should provide a detailed briefing on the treaty, which should reflect deeply on each of these clauses or provisions that deal with operation and maintenance, sharing of benefits, contract employment opportunities, payments of royalties and taxes, amongst others. That is the resolution made by the committee with regard to the issue under 4.3. 4.4, joint meeting between the Prefer Committee on Women Settlements, Water and Sanitation and the Lesotho Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, Tourism and Land. The meeting between the two chairpersons preceded this meeting. They reflected on the relationship between South Africa and Lesotho. Lesotho dates back to the days of the struggle against apartheid rule. They appreciated that the fact that the relationship has advanced into a mutually beneficial partnership. They further acknowledged the benefits accruing to both countries from Lesotho Islands Water Project as evidence of this relationship. Notwithstanding these benefits, the Lesotho Parliamentary Committee highlighted some challenges with respect to treaty that their counterpart should note for consideration. The challenges pertains to the fact that the treaty was entered into during apartheid rule in South Africa. They therefore feel that further engagement on the treaty could improve its benefits to both countries. The committee acknowledged the mutual beneficial nature of the treaty at its current form. They further appreciate the approval from the Lesotho Parliamentary Committee on the Lesotho Islands Water Project and the treaty. A commitment was made that future engagements will be arranged to strengthen the relationship by learning and capacitating each other and dealing with issues of mutual interest, such as the Lesotho Islands Water Project. In this regard, the committee resolved that it would seek a briefing from the Department of Water and Sanitation and its relevant entities on the treaty and determine together with the department areas for improvement on the treaty, if there are any. 4.5, site visit to Katse Dam. The tour of the Katse Dam started at Katse Operations Center, then proceeded to the dam wall for closer inspection. Mr. R. Malapo led the tour. The committee received a briefing on Katse Dam operations, which re-emphasized the earlier presentations. Katse Dam was the highest dam in Africa after its completion in 1998. But it is now the second highest after the completion of the Great Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia. The dam has a storage capacity of 1,950 million cubic meters and a spillway discharge of 6.2 cubic meters per second. It also consists of 45-kilometer transfer tunnel
Recording
and 37
stopped.
kilometer delivery tunnel. It is a double curvature dam, 710 meters long and 185 meters with 68 meters at the base and 9 meters wide at the top of the dam wall. It has been built to withstand seismic activity with a strength of 7.2 on a Richter scale. The low-level water discharge at 590 cubic meters per second is to cater for the environmental flow requirements of the reserve downstream. The tour leader indicated that Katse Dam currently satisfies 60% of the Gauteng water demand. It also generates 500 gigawatt of electricity, which the Lesotho Electricity Company sells for 12 cents per kilowatt. The project currently contributes 4% to the Lesotho GDP. The plowing or cultivation on the hills is generating sediments that are silting up the dam. The mining activities are also contributing to contamination of the water and siltation. There are not enough funds for the maintenance of the infrastructure. Katse Dam, aquaculture and trout fishing, fish farming. The trout fish farming operations followed rigorous due diligence and environmental impact assessment process. The trout fish farming is currently practiced at both Katse and Mahale dams. It is currently producing tons of trout per annum, sold locally and exported to Asian markets. The Royal Highlands trout products of trout originating from Katse fish farms are available at top retailers in Southern Africa, such as Woolworths, Spar, certain Pick n Pay stores, including Maseru Pick n Pay. In addition, Katse fish farms are also supplies Ocean Basket, Lesotho Sun, Maseru Sun, Maliba, Mountain Lodge, and Benson's with fresh trout. The fish farm is owned by Sanli. Sanli is a Japanese expression meaning where the mountains meet the sky. It is a private entity owned by an American private equity firm, 1001 Voices. The community currently benefits through employment opportunities. It has the license to operate in the dams of the Lesotho Islands Water Scheme. Mr. Mlapo indicated that the future expansion of these fish farms would be properly regulated to include community empowerment initiatives. Members reiterated that fish farming should comply with environmental laws, empower communities, and contribute to food security. They further raised the concern with respect to the impact of tourist boats, vessels on water quality and general integrity of dams. In this regard, the committee recommended that the impact of tourist boats, vessels, and should be investigated and managed to prevent water pollution and damage of the water infrastructure. Site visit to Periadi Dam. Periadi Dam is located in Mkotlong district. Mkotlong means the place of the boiled abyss. Boiled abyss is a bird in Sesotho language. It includes the highest terrain in the Maluti Mountains and the source of Sengu River, Lesotho primary catchment. The site visit started with a briefing on health and safety by the health and safety representative, Mr. L. Luela, at the campsite. The health and safety report card showed no COVID-19 related fatalities, low accident rate, insignificant pollution incidents. The committee proceeded to tour the diversion tunnels that are scheduled for completion in November 2021. The divisional manager, Mr. Mukone, provided a progress report during the site inspection of the inlet and outlet of the two tunnels. It is worth noting that COVID-19 delayed work for 9 months, and the flooding that took place in January 2021 compounded the delay, as the drilling had to be halted to reduce flooding in the tunnels. The water quality tests revealed that the floods did not contaminate the water. As a result, the water was pumped back into the river. The discussions at this project site followed several questions from members of the committee. It is worth noting that the district administrator, this is equivalent to premier in South Africa, Mr. M. Dinake for the Mkotlong district, joined the delegation at this site and provided a brief. The district administrator reported that there had been several protests from the committees for employment opportunities. The protesters allege that South Africans are taking majority of job opportunities and are paid more. The delayed payment of compensation for resettlement by LHDA is a cause of concern for communities. Apart from these challenges, the administrator acknowledged that the project is critical, should be protected, and commended LHDA for their efforts in working with government in order to find lasting solutions to these challenges. Furthermore, the government is working with the construction companies to rehabilitate wetlands to maintain water availability in the highlands. The committee requested Mr. Mukone to elaborate on the impact of the project on communities, the number of affected people, the relationship with stakeholders such as the survivors of Lesotho dams, NGO, water provision to communities, impact of flooding in tunnels, number of South African engineers employed at the project, number of employees from surrounding communities, companies appointed at the project, and state of composition of this project. Mr. Mukone indicated that 2 companies are currently working at
Recording
this site,
in progress.
the CSLC joint venture and the MSKC joint venture. These companies are made up of Lesotho and South African engineers that worked on phase 1 of the Lesotho Islands Water Project. A trainee engineer, young professional named Mr. R. Sadiki, was introduced to the committee. He is currently contracted to MSKC joint venture. It should be noted that the project is not attractive to the majority of South African engineers due to its rural setting. There are 360 workers at this site, 300 are Lesotho nationals and 20 are South Africans, while 40 are expatriates. The project has acquired approximately 5,000 hectares of land from local communities. The Periadi Dam will flood this land in the valleys and tributary catchments of the Sengu Kuribedi rivers. This will lead to resettlement approximately 300 households and 17 villages, with potentially significant impacts on the livelihoods and socio-economic status of local communities, local population, as cultivation land, trees, grazing land, and other natural resources will be inundated and access to resources and facilities impeded. The acquired land will permanently used for infrastructure development such as access roads, power lines, telecommunication systems, office and residential accommodation, and some land will be occupied temporarily during the construction period. Phase 2 of Lesotho Islands Water Project and its associated advanced infrastructure positive impacts outweigh the negative impacts on communities. in Nkotlung and neighboring districts such as Witebute, Tabatseka, and Lihube. The compensation of affected people is mandated by the agreement between South Africa and Lesotho governing phase 2. The LHDA is mandated to ensure that the risks associated with this resettlement are addressed and that affected people's livelihoods are restored. Affected communities, local authorities, and other stakeholders were consulted during the development of phase 2 compensation policy, which defines the range of losses, specifies compensation, relocation entitlements, was approved by the project authorities in 2016. Compensation and resettlement programs are being implemented to ensure that affected households are fairly compensated and that physically displaced households are properly relocated and re-established. The phase 2 social development master plan will also be prepared to promote social, environmental, and economic development in the project area that is both sustainable and in line with national development strategies and goals. In this regard, the LHDA has secured the services of experienced resettlement consultants to assist with the preparation and implementation of these programs. Lima Rural Development joint venture, a joint venture between Lima Rural Development Foundation and TAVA projects. The Maketa Development Consultants working with LHDA in-house team. These consultants continue to work closely with affected communities to identify and confirm all affected households, register affected land and assets, determine compensation entitlements, establish relocation and livelihoods restoration preferences. This is an ongoing participatory planning process that the consultants will assist the LHDA with the implementation once completed. The LHDA will maintain a community liaison function to ensure the effective involvement of affected communities in the resettlement program. To this end, significant progress in planning and asset registration and verification had been done by the consultant appointed to the project. The LHDA strategically installed water tanks to provide drinking water in the interim to ensure the provision of water villages. There is a plan to reticulate the villages around the dam and put up sanitation facilities. A consultant will be appointed to plan a water and sanitation program. Electricity will be provided through advanced infrastructure together with telecommunication services. Plantech is currently working with Lesotho Electricity Company and LHDA on the electrification program for phase 2. Site visit to Moela Hydropower Station. Mr. Mlapo led the tour of the station. It is located in Moela in the northern Botswana district. Lesotho generates electricity from this station. The station is an underground powerhouse cavern that accommodates 3 transformers and 3 turbine generators, rated at 24 megawatts. It receives water from Katse Reservoir via 45-kilometer long concrete line transfer tunnel, measuring 4.35 meters in diameter. Water is discharged into Moela Dam after spinning the turbines. Water is then conveyed by delivery tunnels via Moela intake structure to the tunnel outlet at Ash River in South Africa. From the Ash River, water flows into the Verge River and then to the Vaal River. This station entirely funded by Lesotho government, operated by LHDA. It currently produces 500 gigawatt hours per year. The Lesotho Islands Water Project phase 2 will add 300 gigawatt hours that will enable the station to run for 24 hours. Conclusions: the committee commended the South African High Commission, Lesotho Islands Water Commission, Lesotho Islands Development Authority, the Department of Water and Sanitation for the arrangement, management, and coordination of the entire oversight. The committee acknowledges and appreciates the participation and the commitment for partnership with the Lesotho Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, the Tourism, and Land. The quality of work that has been done during phase 1 and the progress made thus far on phase 2 of the Lesotho Islands Water Project is commendable. To this end, the objectives of the oversight visit were satisfactorily met. Thank you, Chairperson and honorable members. That was a bit long, but anyway, that is the end of the report. it just confirms the two videos that we've watched in the beginning. So I will hand over back to you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Tomane, for the presentation of the report. I'm going to ask members to interact with the report. And of honorable members who wants to talk to the report, add or yep, can I? Honorable Mashiko and Honorable Mushala, followed by Honorable Mohotu, followed by Honorable Basson. Yeah, Honorable Mashiko, 1, Honorable Mushala, 2, Honorable Mohotu, 3, Honorable Leon, 4, Honorable Butas, 5. As I've identified you, can you proceed?
Oh, Honorable Mvana Chair, I don't get the icon for raising my hand. I'm sorry for that.
Okay, first one, Honorable Mvana.
Honorable Sishwai, also I can't get my hands issue.
Okay, yeah, Honorable Sifai, you'll then follow. Can we start with Honorable Mashiko?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to everybody. Let me just say that
you are far.
Huh?
Can't hear you. Sorry, Chair.
You can't hear me.
Yes, can you come next to the mic?
Please, thank you, Chair.
Yes, Chair. Good morning to members of the Portfolio Committee and the chairperson and everybody else, the officials in the meeting. My hand was not necessarily up in engaging the agreement as yet because this is our report. It was just to add that amongst the recommendations we made in the meeting was that the treaty must be reviewed, and we propose that we must have a working day either in Lesotho or in South Africa for us to review but of course we knew that the review must be done by the executive, but from the agreement of the two portfolio committees, ours in South Africa and the one of Lesotho, there was an agreement that the treaty must be reviewed because it has been signed in 1986. It does not take into cognizance the realities of today. So in the conclusions or the recommendations, I think we need to put that particular fact. As I'm saying, I might come back to engage the discussion if there is any. Now I was only to add that part of the review of the treaty. Thank you very much.
Number 2.
No, thanks so much, Chairperson. Chairperson, my first question is, I'll refer to the letter that was sent by you to the delegate. The delegates going to and the objectives, which are constitutional oversight over executive and other South African institutions on the Sutra Treaty and the impact on South Africa. Chairperson, since the TCTA and the Department of Water and Sanitation fall within this framework, Yes, I see the report, but the report, there was no presence of the TCTA and the Department of Water and Sanitation. I think there was such a huge omission of not letting the TCTA or not engaging with the TCTA to be part of the Lesotho highlights. I think oversight. I raised this question previously, and in your response, Chairperson, you said we're going to invite the TCTA to come and brief us, because when we came back, we found out that there were certain things that actually need the TCTA as the implementing agent or the commission that is representing us there. The TCTA sent, I think that guy called Baloi, who was just so clueless. Instead of taking the lead, he was just following us. So that is my concern. The other thing, Chairperson, the objective in this report, it seems like it doesn't correlate with proposed oversight mandate of the committee. Here we see the emphasis is more on partnering and strengthening collaboration with Lesotho Committee. And then, but the mandates of the two committees are totally different. Chairperson, although the South African ambassador can and should play a role in our oversight, I think the focus was a bit skewed. In future, I think things like that must not happen, because yes, we don't have a problem of the South African ambassador playing a role in the oversight. But in this regard, we have TCTA, I think, which have more and more information, which is actually representing us, but it was nowhere to be seen. We can't have a resolution after the fact that we must now call TCTA and Department of Water and Sanitation to give us a briefing on the work undertaken by South Africa. That is the thing. I think I'm done, Chairperson. The other thing is the issue of that company. I think in your report, 4.5, there's a company that is owned by American company, which is dealing with the issues of fish farm and all those things. I think we also raised a concern on that regard as well. Things must not happen like it is happening in South Africa, where people, Americans comes and use our mineral resources, and then they benefit from them, and we as the African not benefiting anything. The American company is benefiting. What is that? Beside the issue of employment, what is the contribution on this American company to Lesotho government or either South African government, since we are the core, I think, shareholders on this in this term. The other thing, when we visited Lesotho Parliamentary Committee on Human Resource, there were challenges that they raised to us, and then there also came an issue when we met the LHDA, the issue of there's a problem, challenges in signing the quarry permits, work permits, and then there's a problem as in terms of the people of South Africa coming and working in Lesotho. I think that one, Chairperson, it is with regards to the concern that the Parliamentary Committee raised with regards to the issue of the treaty. So the question is, I think it's about 2 months now we went there. Can we check how far are you with that process? Who did you engage afterwards? Because this is just a report to inform that these were the complaints. What did you do with these complaints? It's a report, you are reporting to us. These are the concerns the Parliament raised, and are also our concern as members of the Portfolio Committee. What happened after that? We came and sit, and then today we come with this report. We are reporting to us what happened there. So what did we do after we went to Lesotho? They were concerned. What did we do as a committee with regards to that report? I think there was supposed to be something that talks to that as well in your report. After our visit, we engaged these several stakeholders, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is where we are now. What happened after that? After all these complaints that we heard about, what happened? Because I saw somewhere, I think in 4.6, where it's just that I was not taking the pages, where you said the committee resolved that they will follow up on those things. So we want to know what happened. What are the follow-ups? What did you do? All these issues where you were saying there was responses with regards to that. What happened? Because the first one, as much as I remember, it was that we're going to call the TCTA. That one never happened, to come and report to us, and so that we can have an understanding of what the collaboration between them and Lesotho and all those things. So we did not get anything with regards to that as the Portfolio Committee. So what did we do after the Lesotho trip? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Musala. Number 3.
Thank you, Chairperson. I also concur with the latter speaker. I want to know, how is the TCTA or South Africa addressing the issue of delays in issuing of work permits of the skilled workers of South Africa, which is being delayed by the Lesotho government, and it is also, as a result of that, affecting the project progress. And then as the committee was doing oversight, what I would like to know is that, did the committee ask the TCTA, the LHWA, about what's going to happen if the climate change persists to an extent that the Katse Dam and the Polahali Dam is unable to cater sufficient water to South Africa in future? Like, do they have a contingency plan towards that? I would like to know that. And again, as stated in the report, that Lesotho has only committed to 40 million towards phase 2 project in the financial year 2021-2022, which amounts to less 160 million. So my question is, did you, as you were doing oversight, ask the TCTA or South Africa or the Department of Water and the Department of Water and Sanitation in South Africa how they are going to deal with this issue? What if going forward, the Lesotho government is unable to commit to the outstanding balance of 160 million? Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson.
Number 4.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hope everybody is well. Chairperson, firstly, I would like to thank Tamani for excellent report. It gives us the true reflection of what we've seen in Lesotho. Now, Chairperson, for me, it was an eye-opener. Going to Lesotho, hearing about Lesotho before our oversight visit, you've seen pictures of the dam, you've seen pictures of the bridges and the development around the dam. and the hydroelectricity power stations. But when you're there, and it's unfortunate that everybody of this committee could not have attended that, and maybe if we go again, and we should go again, we must make sure we can take along everybody. Chairperson, this project is an eye-opener for me, what we in South Africa with our neighbor Lesotho could build in Lesotho. That's not just a monument, but it's something that for future generations will give us water to South Africa and to the neighboring countries in future as well. Now, Chair, I understand the question around the 160 million that was short payment, but Chair, we also should just look at the 160 million that's not been paid and the commitment from South Africa's side. We were informed that there is negotiations ongoing to get back this 160 million. But because it is very crucial for South Africa to get this water here, we don't move into a fighting mode to get that money. We've got to build our relationship with Lesotho as well, as we've seen with our meeting with our counterparts in Lesotho. So, Chairperson, yes, I do agree that there's two things we need to do. We need to sit down with TCTA so that they can also maybe not explain, but to tell us how they see the way forward financing this project. And secondly, we will have to have a look at the treaty as well. We must also just remember that from Lesotho's side, they would like to get more from us. And from our side, we would like to pay less. So it is a balancing act. But Chair, I want to really congratulate you as a chairperson and the members. In the spirit, we went there to go and listen and get information. Was an excellent example of how a committee can do oversight to the benefit of South Africa, and not looking at political lines, looking at what is the need of our people in the country and what is the need of the Lesothans in their country. So I want to conclude and also thank our officials that went with us, and even those officials from Lesotho that accompanied us and the way they have treated us in Lesotho. Chair, I would like you to send our gratitude to them as well, and a job well done. Thank you, Tamani. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Now, I
Recording
like
stopped.
how Chairperson.
Yes, proceed, Honorable Zeki.
Thank you very much.
Recording in
May I please
progress.
ask Honorable Zeki to switch on the video.
Switch on the video. It's off.
It's off.
Mamsala.
Switch it on,
Yeah?
yeah. It's off.
It's off, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's 11
Switch it
hours.
on. It's off.
Members, allow Honorable Zeki to present, please. Honorable Zeki, present.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, I think I want to concur with Member Leon. Sorry, on the good work that we have experienced in Lesotho. Chair, I just want to check if Comrade Toman, on the objectives, maybe if we could have a line that talks about our visit was also about to look at the economic spin-offs of the Lesotho Highlands waters. So the economic spin-offs can be very broad. I have noticed that in your report, We spoke a lot about the 60% of water coming to South Africa, but this economic spin-off should also talk to the dam itself, like the fishes and all that. Maybe if you could add it in the objectives. In the report, it is there. Chair, the economic spin-off should also talk to, I think Comrade Mashiko said something on it, around those lodges that are going to be built at Periadi. You know, these things, we should close them at the initial stage, because if we wait them until late, they may create problems. So those lodges and all that center that is going to be built there at Periadi, we need to check the ownership of it. And those people that are displaced, I think it could be one of the areas for them to benefit out of that important project. And also the issue of compensation. I don't know, Chair, whether compensation can also be deferred, where someone says, no, I don't want money, but I want my money to be included in the project so that it could be a legacy investment for the family and for the community, you know, something like that. All what I'm saying, Chair, it's the discussion which Member Mshala talked about and Member Mashiko, where we said we are going to request the department to come forward for us to can engage on the treaty, including TCTA. So maybe Member Mshala, you are already advanced. We need to have a department first and TCTA for us to engage on these issues that we are raising. We can't raise them only with the Lesotho people. So this economic spin-off must be broadened in my view, Chair. And then these are questions that we can raise to the department and TCTA. Chair, I think we should note that TCTA and Member Mshala, as she already said, we did not get a very concrete input from TCTA. The person that was deployed there from the board was really incapacitated to can engage, because I think we were told that he's new, and that could be a shortcoming from TCTA point of view. So it should be raised as a concern. The other thing, Chomani, that you could say, if you could just in your report, just put the roles, even if it's at the end or the beginning, what the roles of LHWC, LHWP, etc., all those abbreviations. If you could just put them somewhere as an annexure or something, just explaining just one line or two line on their role. Chair, the report talks about Muela electricity or hydropower, but equally the report talks about the Bokong improvement of sorry, Chair, someone disturbed me. It talks about Bokong, the increase of capacity.
Switch off your mic, please, man.
So I think I just want to clarity when the Periadi, if I remember, it was said that it's going to increase the capacity of Muela hydropower for about 300 megawatts. So I see as well there is Bokong hydropower of 300 megawatts. Maybe I missed the Bokong side, but I remember the Muela. If that can be clarified, Chair, so that the report can be very concrete. Chair, we should also note the disgruntlement of individuals. Maybe the report should say, as it has already said, maybe just to be explicit, but that disgruntlement, the department and the people of Lesotho or government of Lesotho, on our side, it will be through the department, on how are they dealing with this matter. The 50 years payment may be long, But when it's left with 10 years, we may find serious problem from the people of Lesotho. So how safe is this 50-year project or 50-year payment? Is it watertight? It is not going to create some problem in future in terms of the security of benefit. Member Mushala, I think you talked about outside people, and I want to agree with you. This is what Member Mashiko has presented very strong at our visit, that these fishes, these lodges, this everything that is it's defined or it's found from this project of Periadi and Katsi must benefit the people of Lesotho as a matter of urgent. We also talked about marijuana or matekwane plants. These matekwane plants, they may use the same water. Can't we include it as one of the benefits that the department and the people of Lesotho could benefit out of planting marijuana and owning them through the benefits of water schemes that will be benefited out of this project? Chair, just one other thing. Comrade Tomani, you are saying Namibia has not agreed on something there in terms of the report, or they have not objected. But I think the report must further say, we would want to hear from the department what is the status of Namibia on the project. We should not just leave it by saying Namibia have said the following, but we should also propose to the department to engage the Namibian people and for them to give an answer in relation to this project. The last 2 points, Chair.
Recording stopped.
The working permits as a risk, just clarity there, and to money. And also the downstream, Tomani, you mentioned on Katsi, the release of certain cubic water that are released on the downstream. But on the Periadi, I think there was an issue of concern on the downstream on Sinku. Maybe this one passed from my birthplace, that's why I remember it. So the issue of downstream must be maintained in all these dams where people should not have much. Of course, it will impact on them, but it should not impact them too much. Last one, Chair. On the conclusion, Tomani, there's a sentence, the last sentence, where you are appreciating this project. I think you could add maybe something that talks to this project was done by the people of South Africa and the people of Lesotho. And in particular, if you look at the people of Lesotho who dealt with this project, they are people of Lesotho educated in both Lesotho and South Africa, and they are given that opportunity to can run that project. And I think this is what we need to do in terms of transformation when we engage TCTA, Comrade Chair. On that note, we should make this as an example of big projects of the dams, compare it with the Renaissance Dam, compare it with the big dams in the Nile River, compare it with what the United Nations have said about this project, Comrade Tomani. You remember when they presented to us on what UN have said. I've seen it in your report, you have it. But just maybe you can just amplify the good project, in particular done by South Africans.
Recording in progress.
Lesotho. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Please pardon me if other things have been raised. I'm struggling to get a network. Now, I would like to raise, in fact, let me comment the report. At least you could see what had happened in Lesotho. But Chair, there is that thing of people from South Africa that are not employed as Lesotho people. Maybe this thing of the licensing and also the permits that Honorable Tsaki has raised goes in line with what I'm raising. We stressed on that, so we need to see it in the report. And then we also requested those people to localize their businesses, meaning that they must buy at least locally, meaning that from South Africa, if we do have those things. We stressed on that one. There is, I can't remember that gentleman that was there, who's a manager, who was assisting us in moving around. Since he is going on to a pension, we requested that at least the equity employment equity should be allowed to happen. At least they need to dilute and I would say there are gentlemen that are very young and energetic that might take over from that. Let's also highlight that on the report. I don't know on how to put it, but let's try. There was also a talk or discussion on having a meeting with Lesotho government, even if it's virtual. So I couldn't hear that one also. The last one, Chair, maybe we have also to check the progress in terms of how far is the dam right now, so as to be able to get water to the Orange River Dam. Last but not least, that accommodation that has been built there will need a thorough monitoring, Chairperson. Otherwise, we'll end up building houses or accommodation or tourist attraction houses, but we find out we are in a trouble of the services and rates in that area, Chair. Let me stop there. Otherwise, all other issues that have been raised by other honorable members have been covered. Thanks, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mvana. Honorable Setlhwaye.
Thank you, Chairperson. And the good morning, the leadership, the officials. Firstly, it's important to commend the department and your leadership, Chairperson, on this report. It's a very, very well compounded report. It has got a lot of issues that perhaps we need to unpack more to understand. But I think the way it has been crafted, it has managed to reveal of what is this. But in the process, on the basis of the objectives, you are not getting the detail of different indicators that the report is talking about, which are very, very interesting to get more on them. Chair, starting from the issue of the treaty, I think it would be proper that we should be exposed to the treaty, because it's the tool, it's a real tool that made this program to be in place, and therefore uniquely with areas like Lesotho and all other areas that are mentioned. It's important for us to really understand from the background of the treaty as raised. One of the issues, Chair, is the issue of the this evaluation is evaluating the the program performance of two entities. In the overall, there is a department, in fact, two departments, two governments, TCTA and the Lesotho, and there are boards and their management and the government structures. It's very loaded. It is very loaded. And that performance is going to tell us that are we really benefiting the mutual benefit that has been raised? Are we really benefiting? So it needs to be offloaded in terms of the objectives, because there's finance, there's funding that has been given to the program. So one needs to get the efficiency, therefore, and the effectiveness of all these issues that are being raised. At the end, is the program making an impact? Is the program sustainable? So that we build our own capacity and understanding. I think one of the members said that a relationship with Lesotho and South Africa is very unique. And therefore, it's important that we don't brush through. We really get to the crux of the issues. And there are issues that could be sensitive from our understanding as South Africa, the issues of labor relations that are being raised. You see, those issues, if you are not getting to them in detail, they can at some time cause a problem in the project. Issues of building skills, issues of compensation, issues of work permits. So it's important that we get to the crux of the matter on those particular issues. Till now we understand that South Africa, the issues of labor relations could result to some other bad issues if you are not dealing with them well. Now, issues of housing projects, these are the issues that you want to know in detail. How there's a role of Namibia, and Namibia delaying some process, but it is said that it's not an issue and all those issues, but it's an issue because we have got to know and we have got also to participate ourselves and assist where there are bottlenecks in the process. So the project is so loaded that one is interested to really know more about how can we unlock some of the issues. Where there is funding involved, that's a problem. So you cannot just allow it to move without getting to the process. I think the chair would need to assist us more. There is a proposal that I had that there is a need to have maybe a one-day session to be at work on this particular report to know more. It's a very interesting report, Chairperson, I must say, but I think by nature of the distance and other issues, we have not managed to get to the detail of it. But now that has been presented to us as a report, I think we need more. We need more, and we want to know the content of the treaty. The content of the treaty, because it's a tool that has made us to be here, to have this report, so that we don't brush through issues of diplomatic issues and dealing with other countries. It's very important, and therefore we need to take these issues very serious. Thank you very much for the report, Chair. We need some more time. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Seswai. I think we we welcome the inputs made by members. Just to talk to the process itself, okay, okay, Honorable Mashego. I don't see it.
My apology, Chair. Remember, I did indicate earlier on that that time I was raising only on the basis of me wanting to add the issue of us having agreed that we need to review the treaty. That was an agreement between ourselves and Lesotho. Let me just say, but I think we're going to address what I was going to say just now, because in your opening remarks just now, as you were starting to speak. My understanding is that, Chair, you needed to have the report being adopted by the committee, because we were a delegation that does not have decision-making or recommendation-making.
Chairperson, I'm not sure whether Mr. Mashiko.
Okay, Honorable Mashiko.
Yes, Chair.
Who couldn't I couldn't pick it up the what we are trying to say. Honorable Tseke, what you are saying? What is it that we are saying?
No, I think the voice of Comrade Mashiko is so faint, Chair. I'm not sure
yeah.
whether.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he
Honorable
has
Mashiko,
moved houses. Now he's in a new house.
We can't hear you. Just come closer to the mic.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Chair. I will try that. And I was saying, remember in the earlier stage, I did indicate that I'm going to speak only on the basis of me wanting to put that point of reviewal of the treaty. But I must say that, firstly, let me just say, I thought that, or not, let me just, I thought that the
Recording stopped.
The delegation of South Africa into Lesotho
Recording in progress.
needed to give a report to the committee, the PC today, in order for the report to be adopted first by the committee, then the chairperson can act on the adopted report by the committee. The chair could not have implemented any of the delegation's recommendations prior it being adopted. So that we are adopting today, we would then have to give the chairperson the authority to can act according to our decision and expect her to report to us as to what is that she's doing to respond to our resolutions of the meeting. And I want to agree with Memhla Lauri, in the process of the chairperson wanting to implement our view, the department must explain to us what was the mandate of Mr. Sithole, who was representing the department, who left us in the middle, and he told us that he's now being ordered to go back when we're still in the middle of the trip. Baloyi, who was just a photographer in the meeting, what was his mandate really? He was a photographer rather than a delegation of the TCTA that is supposed to be funding. And later on, we heard the CEO complaining about certain things that we couldn't understand. So the view that Memhla is raising on the basis of these two gentlemen who were there with us as visitors, it was a worrisome to ourselves in the meeting. So I think we really need to still to get that. The issue of the Namibian leg of the report need to be said, Babtoman. But I want to agree with Ntate Leon. The report is a very good report. It engage the content of the report, and it represents the views. Of course, there is one or two things that we're adding, but after reading the report, you get the thrust of what is that the treaty is all about. The issue that the fishes of Lesotho, very small part of the fishes are being given to our Woolworths and Pick n Pay and Spar. The majority of it go to Italy, and we don't even know who benefits from that Italy sales, and so forth and so on. We really do need to get that particular point. I must say that we agreed that Leon, not Mr. Bazon, the Leon who is the head that Mamvala was talking about. His name is Leon Mamvala. He did say to us he's going on pension. There is a very capable black young man there whom we thought it can take over when Leon goes And I think we're all in agreement that that can happen. But remember, it's not ourselves to appoint, but we're recommending that that job of the LHDA must be given to this particular black person in order for her to take over from the equity employment point of view. But as a matter of principle, Chair, I want to move that the report is, yes, it will be beefed up where we are beefing up and so forth, but this meeting must adopt the report. After adopting the report, then we can act on the report being adopted and it being the report of the committee. And I want to move that we adopt the report with a view that we're still gonna work on the report with the department and so forth and so on in reaction to the recommendation of this committee to the department. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mashego. Honorable members, I think that's what I wanted to explain, that the process is as follows. We have to adopt the report ourselves, agreeing this is what we have seen in Lesotho, this is what we have engaged, and these were the response of those people that were engaging with them, and then we'll then have a recommendation. One recommendation that we are putting is that for both ourselves and the portfolio committee, Memvana, not the government, portfolio committee of Lesotho, that we should relook at the treaty, and even from our side, we've said that we agree that the Treaty of 1986, though it was amended when the second phase was done, we think we have to relook at the treaty, and for us that should be our resolution. But the department would then will invite the department after we have agreed. This is what we have seen in Lesotho, as Honorable Leon has said, and this is what we want to see in the future as we proceed with other projects, and what are the things that we have learned in Lesotho that when the department implement other projects, we would want them to consider, and that process will still unfold. But we have to agree, this is what we've seen in Lesotho, as Honorable Mashego said, that there was we couldn't actually action anything until we adopt the report. And that's what I've even said in that meeting. We have to adopt the report of the Lesotho first before we can action it ourselves. And that's the procedure that we have to follow. And the second element then would then be, because we're agreeing, all of us, that we need to engage on the treaty. People will then invite the department to come and present the treaty and ask them question, what was the thought, why it was not amended, talk all those things that we need to talk about the treaty, and then we can then resolve to say that as far as we are concerned, as the portfolio committee, after interacting with the department, this is what we think should go into the treaty, and so forth. So we couldn't action anything. I just wanted to clarify that, as I've indicated even previously, we have to adopt this report only, firstly, before we can have an action. And two, let me join honorable members to congratulate Tumani for the and Mayor Vyogazi, even if she's no longer with us, for the compilation of the report, which actually represent most of the views that we have seen and we have interacted with those that are running the project. And indeed it was a learning curve. And just to say that one of the things that we have agreed to, Man, was that even because we have what is this thing? We can have meeting virtually with the portfolio committee of Lesotho, would then be able to, who can actually agree in principle that we as we play oversight, we can then interact with them, even if we have to travel to Matatiel or have a visual engagement with them on the project as the phase 2 get implemented. It should then be part of our recommendation. So Honorable Mashego has moved for the adoption of the report with the additions that members have made in terms of what we see in Lesotho, but in terms of what should happen in the future and all those things, is things that we would have to engage them as we proceed. Just to give Tumani chance to talk to some of the issues, Tumani.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, honorable members. The issues, I think there is an overwhelming agreement that there is a need to relook at the treaty, and that is one of the recommendations that I will have to redraft to make it clear for the department that we need to have that as soon as possible. That is something that is coming out from all the contributions. And the issue that TCTA was missing in action at this oversight visit, I think it has been noted as a concern as it has been raised by a number of members. So that is something that we will have to put there as something that the department, when it comes before the committee, then they will have to explain why the representatives from TCTAs were not there, and the support from the department perhaps was not adequate, although they were there. So those are some of the issues that I think I will have to add on recommendations. And then the issue of the collaboration with the Lesotho Parliamentary Committee, that is also the item that will have to be added and then strengthened, although it's there in the report. So we will have to redraft it and then to put it explicitly in terms of what needs to be addressed when the two committees meet, so that they consider the treaty and then consider the possibility of a joint oversight, either virtually or maybe physically meeting at some midpoint in South Africa or in Lesotho. So that is another recommendation. And then insofar as the fish farming benefits and all of that, I think the presenter there indicated that the second round of procurement for fish farming companies will have to be included, will have to include community empowerment. So it's something that I think they raised there. So, but it's something that we can also recommend from our side to say the fish farming and all other activities related to this project should consider community needs and honestly empower the communities. And then the other issues, I think the Honorable Chairperson have addressed the issue of process with regard to non-trawlers concerns there. And then the issue of climate change that was raised by Mkhotu, they highlighted the issue of climate change or the impact of climate change on water availability going into the future. I think the implementing agency, the government in general, they are aware of the impact of climate change, and then they are also doing a number of adaptation activities like the erosion control and so on, which really is to adapt to some of the impacts of climate change. But insofar as the ultimate impact of climate change, where the rain maybe doesn't fall and there's not enough water, I think that is something which perhaps we can explore. And I think it's something that we can put in the report as a recommendation to say perhaps TCTA together with the department try maybe provide some insights in terms of how they foresee the impact of climate change impacting on the project. And then the issues of government of Lesotho contribution, I think that one we were assured that the Lesotho Islands Development Authority, in consultation with the government of Lesotho, they are on top of that issue. It's something that they have in fact guaranteed and in fact assured the committee that they are dealing with it, so it remains to be seen how it will unfold. But the response was that the entity concerned and the government of Lesotho are dealing with that issue. And then the issue, I think I should also note the remarks from Honorable Basson, that the trip was more of, I think from my point of view, was more of a study tour than oversight, because I think the quality of work is that of international standard. I think members have learned a lot there, and it's something that I think we can, in fact, try to impart to the department. And insofar as infrastructure funding is concerned, I think it's a model that we can adopt here in South Africa at home to develop and also to address issues of infrastructure funding in the country. So that is, I think, observation that is well informed. And then the Mvana raised the issue of localizing procurement, which is well captured in the report, where they indicated that the procurement gives preference to Lesotho and South African companies, and then if then there is no supply from these local countries, and then they consider abroad. So that is, I think, well covered, and it's something that we have to note in the report or re-emphasize for attention. And then the issue of the replacement of the chief engineer. Mr. Stomp, I think Mr. Leon is going to retire soon, and I think from the interactions he has indicated there is just that perhaps I didn't see it maybe appropriate to note it, but he has informally indicated during our interactions there that there was one gentleman who is earmarked to succeed him when he retires. So I think the views of members here, I think, are well catered for, but it's something that we'll also add in the report as recommendations after this meeting. And then the issue of collaboration, that one also will put the issues that were raised by Honorable Tseki. expand the objectives. I think, yeah, that is something that we can do. The objectives can be broadened, so it's something that we'll edit before the report is properly circulated. The role of TCTA and all of that, I think that is also given in the report, is there. That maybe we can just highlight it so that it comes up front before maybe we deal with the details of the report. The issue of hydroelectricity at Bokong to augment electricity supply at the Moela power station. This activity at the phase 2, it's still under investigation. In other words, they're still doing a feasibility study. And if then it shows that it's economical or it's feasible, then the hydro power station will be built at this area called Bokong. So that is the status insofar as electricity supply from phase 2 is concerned. And then the issue of downstream users of water. So the requirement there is that if members have seen at the Katse Dam, there was water trickling at a slow pace, or a little bit of water being discharged from the dam. And the presenter, they indicated that this is for to cater for reserve requirements. In other words, is to maintain aquatic life organisms or ecosystem, and then also to cater for the needs for the people downstream who are using the water. So at all times, the dams will always release water that will be enough to cater for the needs of those that are positioned downstream of the dam. So, and then there was issue of the no objection letter from Namibia. So we were also assured there that the no objection letter issue is not high risk, as the department through the minister, Department of Water and Sanitation, they are dealing with that guarantee, which is a requirement when you want funding from from banking institutions international, to say those countries downstream of where you want to build the dam should give you consent that they do not object to the development that you are trying to do. So that letter, the issue of no objection letter, it's something that perhaps we can just put as a recommendation as well for the department to provide update with respect to that process. But from the meeting, they indicated that the issue was being addressed, and there were not any constraints that they foresee that would delay the issuing of that letter. So I think that is the summary of the issues that members have raised. So if I have left something out, members would indicate, but I think that is what it is. And the majority of issues, I think the department will deal with when we meet them with regard to this report. So that is where we will get enough answers, and then also issues of what needs to go into the amendment of the treaty. So that is where I think the platform where we can discuss details of some of the issues. With that, Chairperson, thank you. I am handing over back to
you. Thank you very much, Tumani. I see there are still hands. I'm not sure whether it's old hands. Honorable Musala and Honorable Butas.
No, thanks so much, Chairperson. I think I've been covered by Tomani in terms of the additions, because I was going to say that I think we need an analytical section before the conclusion, incorporating the hard-hitting issues raised in today's meeting, but I can see is going to put most of them. And then, Chairperson, the other thing I think on the recommendation, we need to strengthen in terms of governance challenges, funding capacities, and other big global companies involved in Lesotho Highland Water Project. And then we also need to emphasize on the current challenges, to highlight on the current challenges that we are facing as well. Chairperson, lastly, Honorable Zeki is out of order because if the Department of Water and Sanitation and the TCTA were there from the beginning, we were not going to ask all those questions. Because if he's saying that we can't do that now, who coordinated this oversight? Because it must be the TCTA together with the Department of Water and Sanitation, working together with the portfolio committee. Thank you.
Honorable Butas.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think you have answered, Member Mashala. Maybe let me not go there because your summary assisted. But thank you, Member Mashala, on many issues that you have raised. Chairperson, on the, I'm not, doesn't like to appear on this trip. I don't think it was going to be bad, really, for you to include us moving there on that dam. A smaller slide of led by the chair and the Member Mshala and Tatema Sheikh on that video. This is a legacy video. This is a legacy report, and I think we all smile. And if you can see, Member Leon has put that dam behind his photo. So, Chair, I don't know whether it's right, but I think if there could be some form of showing those people that attended that visit, that oversight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Tseki. On the video that we have played is the video that was were given by the Lesotho Highlands Agency. But in the report, as we concluded, as you propose, I don't think there is any problem for Tomani to put a photo of members, delegations that went to Lesotho. I think, yeah, that is the issue, and Honorable Mashego has moved for the adoption of the report with the additions that have been made. Can we then get the seconders?
Chair, I second. If we were in Parliament, I was going to buy Tomani some chocolates. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. The report has been seconded with the additions of what we have seen in the Sutra and the recommendations as proposed by members. That was the only item that we had on the agenda. If there is nothing, I'm tempted to close the meeting. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Chair.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Thank you, Chair.
Sheikhos.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Right. Right now, go good. Mandivale into andisena bantwana. Ayidibali mina ngisekho lami.